What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Road to 1,000 Users. I'm John Mello, where we are taking a look at the different paths and strategies to finding or tracking your first 1,000 users for an app that you're building. I myself am building an app to solve problems for freelancers and agencies that work with Bubble, a development platform. So we're also talking about some content focused in that area as well. What I really want to pay attention to today is the challenges that come with offloading development work that you yourself are doing to other developers, right? So kind of taking that jump from being a single solopreneur freelancer to an agency, right? Getting to that what I would consider kind of the next level, right? Because you're building out a team. If you start thinking of yourself as an agency, then you're starting to build out a team and a company, right? You're not a freelancer per se, right? So, and there's nothing wrong if you want to stay at the freelancer level. I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. I think you could make a very comfortable living just as a freelancer. You're only responsible for yourself, which I think is great. But there are people that would want to grow what they've started into a company or an agency, and that's when you need more than just one person. Right, so that's kind of the phase that I'm at right now. I've started offloading some of the development work that I do to people that I trust. And I think the bigger challenges that come with doing that come from two places. One is trust. Do you trust the person that you're working with? And that can mean so many different things. Do you trust that they're technically capable of what they say that they're going to do? Do you trust that they're going to deliver? That they care enough about your project to even work with you on it? Is it just a money grab for them? Do they actually care about the product that they're going to deliver to you? There's so much that goes into that trust factor that I think most people would rather just do it themselves than give it to somebody else, because it's definitely the way that I thought for a while until I found a team that I really, really liked and they understood what I was asking, and we have a great rapport now. But that took many iterations of me working with different people, changing the way that I package and deliver the work for a developer to understand. And I think that's the second key thing there is the communication, right? How do you take the work that you could otherwise do very quickly yourself, take the time to explain that in a document or a tool or just whatever, however it is that you communicate that? Maybe it's a ClickUp board, Miro board, whatever. How do you take that and then transfer that knowledge and the ask to somebody that you do trust? I think the trust part comes with small chunks of work, right? I think part of the things that I did wrong in the beginning when I was starting to work with other developers trying to offload some of this development work was that I gave too much away too quickly, right? So I gave an entire, I work in these iterative blocks. So I tried to give a whole entire block away to a developer in the first time that we're working together. It was too much. I found it a lot easier to work with these bite-sized little features, maybe something along the lines of, hey, can you create a workflow to do this thing that I want to do, right? Maybe it's only an hour of development work. That's okay, though. You're fine. You're seeing how this person works. You're seeing how they think, how they communicate, the types of questions that they ask you. If they're not, and they should be asking you a ton of questions. If you're coming at this from the founder perspective and you give a developer a scope of work and they don't have any questions, they're just like, okay, I can do that. You should be very wary of that. That is not going to turn out the way that you want it to. There should be a ton of questions. You should be annoyed by the amount of questions that you get from your dev team, right? And the same thing goes if you are a freelancer who is tech savvy and you're passing that to another freelancer. They should have a ton of questions for you. So that in part builds trust. They care about, when I start hearing those questions, the quality of the questions that they're asking it starts to build confidence in me and build trust that, okay, these people are asking the right questions. That's the first thing that I look for. Do they care enough to ask the questions where things are unclear? Because it's impossible to be completely clear about whatever's clear in your head. It's very difficult to get that out into a document that somebody else can understand. It takes time. It takes often more time than it would to even just do the work yourself, right? So you're investing that time in explaining this and packaging it for somebody else to understand. that's an upfront investment that your hope is going to pay off in the future. But the first time you're working with somebody, it would probably be just quicker to do it yourself. And that's probably why a lot of people don't take that step, because they're not seeing how this relationship will look 3 months from now, when we've already have kind of a rapport. They understand the app, they understand what's going on, and they understand the way that you want to work. To bring it back, those bite-sized steps, I think, are what is important when you first start working with somebody, to make sure that you have a cadence and you enjoy working with each other, and they're not signing into this giant project and you're going to be locked in together, when you may not even get along. So bite-sized work to begin with. I know that a lot of people look for, like, I want to see a portfolio of work, that they've done in the past. And I think it's kind of, to me, that's kind of like a resume, right? It's a work of art. I don't think you can really you can gauge what projects they've worked on in the past. What you can't gauge from prior work is their level of dedication to working with you, which I think there's why people overemphasize like their portfolio. I look for like the drive. Is this person really interested in learning more about the application or the project that I'm working on, or is it just a money grab for them? Right. So I look for that. And that again, that comes through with the quality of questions that they ask about you, about your project, organizing the way that we're going to work together. All of these things are questions that they themselves should be asking you. Another interesting thing that came up in the chat in the Discord this week was, should you tell your client that if I have my clients that I'm interfacing with and I'm doing all of the scoping and kind of updating to them, should I tell them that I'm offloading this work to other developers, that I'm paying less than the client is paying me? And my answer to that is absolutely. Why would you hide that? There's no reason to hide that you have a team. If the person that you're working with understands the way that business works, right? You have to your business has to be profitable, and in order for you to grow, it's not just going to be a pass-through. You're not just a middleman, right? So I don't think there's any reason to hide the fact that you offload some of the development work to developers, because you are trying to grow your company, grow as an agency, and also like your job is not just the hands-on development work, right? I think as long as you're honest with them about that up front, that should not be a problem. And then it gets into there was a question around, what if should the client be asking you how much you pay your developers? I don't know, really. I've never gotten that question. If I got the question, would I hide what I pay them? Probably not. But it'd be strange. It'd be like me asking my client, like, how much do you make on a sale in your business? Like, unless that's relevant to the work that I'm doing, like unless I need to know that for some technical reason, why the hell would I care about that? You know what I mean? Why would the client care about how much you pay your developers, right? You're the one that is in charge of the project. You are the one responsible for the project. So if your development team fucks up, they didn't fuck up. You fucked up. I'm the person that's responsible for delivering what I told that client I was going to deliver. How it gets done, that's no one's problem. That's no one's problem but mine, right? So I think again, my policy is always transparency is the best thing. I don't ever try to hide the fact that I work with others. And honestly, if you're in Bubble, they're going to see that you have collaborators in the Bubble app anyway. So why hide it? They're going to have their email address, So to me, upfront transparency is the best policy when it comes to that. Never had a problem with, why are you offloading this to somebody else? Like I was very clear about that from the beginning, that this is the way we're going to go. This is the way that we're going to be able to move faster. If my attention is in different places of like, all right, we can start scoping the next feature set out while my team does the actual hands-on work. Why is that a bad thing? We're moving faster this way. The upfront investment in taking the time to really break down what you're asking the developers to do is key, right? It cannot be a vague document of just like implement video conferencing. No, it's not just that. We are going to the ask for your dev team is take a look at the different plugin options or API options for implementing video conferencing, and bring me back what you think is the best implementation of that. That's step one. then okay, in the video conferencing, we need to be initiated by the company side only. The job seeker side is not able to initiate that. The job seeker can join and leave a call at will, right? So very detailed, right? All of these specs need to be very detailed. It can't be a vague thing. You have to be able to package it. And I think you should have already you've done the scoping to know like what your approach would be if you were going to deliver this feature yourself. That's the point where I say, okay, I know how I would do this. Now I'm going to take this, package it, and give it to my developer team, and they can come, within the parameters that I give them, they can be flexible and find their own implementation of this. But you should have an understanding of how you would approach it before you go and give that to somebody else, because you want to know approximately how much time it's going to take them. You, as the technical liaison between developer and client, should have that understanding before you agree to doing the scope and before you deliver it to the developers to actually build. I'm definitely glad that I did take that leap from freelancer to agency work now, because it gives me more time to find more clients, to scope more high-level project work. It's a win-win situation, I think, for everybody. The client's getting results faster. My time is freeing up so that I'm not hands down on the keyboard, and my developers team is making money and growing their business as I pass more of this work along for them. So this three-way relationship is ideal, I think, for everybody involved. I'll just take a quick look at my stats for this week. Again, I am building a tool for bubble freelancers who have the same problems like myself that I'm describing today, offloading stuff, offloading development work. So let's take a look at where I am at. Right, so 59 users, a bit of a bump, right? I mentioned last week that I started a Discord server to kind of have these weekly huddles with other bubble freelancers all over the world. Very cool conversation. If you're interested in joining that, jump on. You can see we have 72 people in the Discord community that I just started last week. I was previously tracking Twitch followers, but I think relevant to the what I'm doing, I think the stats on this community are more important than how many Twitch followers I have. That's just my thought here, so I've kind of switched that out. And I got a bump in users last week too, from 55 to 59. 4 users, gained 4 users last week that are now using the prospecting tool. All right, everybody, that's it for me this week. I wanted to share that. We had a great conversation again in that Discord. If you are a bubble freelancer or an agency, or you're just building an app and you're looking for your first 1,000 users, jump on the Discord and join this community that we're building together. I think it's super interesting to have all these different perspectives. I'm having a good time with it, and I'm glad that everyone's chiming in, and it seems like other people are enjoying it and taking some stuff away from it as well, some information. All right, so I will catch you next week again. This is the Road to 1,000 Users. I'm John Mello. I will catch you next week. Later.